Hey guys, welcome back to the channel for another video. It is Game Week 7 predictions for League 2, Sky Bet League 2. Game Week 7 already, it's absolutely mental how many game weeks we're already in through the season. 6 down, 40 to go. And today's guest is Elliot, so Elliot will be the guest predicting the 12 League 2 games for this weekend, and obviously I'm predicting mine, and basically seeing how each other do. Obviously, there are some very interesting matchups. Barrow taking on Gillingham, which is first against second, should be an interesting one. You know, Newport needing to basically get something as we're in bad form. Morecambe got a good point against Fleetwood. They'll be looking to, you know, continue their decent run of form against Notts County, who want to get back towards the top. It's going to be an interesting game week, and let's get into some predictions. Massive shout out to Elliot for jumping on for game week 7. Make sure to smash a like on the video, subscribe if you are new around here, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Let's get into some predicting. Game 1 then sees Tranmere Rovers take on Salford City. Now, Tranmere Rovers lost last week to Colchester United 3-0, whilst Salford City lost at home at the Peninsula Stadium to Walsall. If you look at the table, Tranmere currently sit in 16th, while Salford sit in 15th. It's a bit of an interesting one, this one. I don't know which way I'm going to flow. I think it'll be a tight game. Both teams both teams next to each other in the table, but I am going to go with the hosts. I'm going to go Tranmere to win it at Prenton Park. I'm going to go Tranmere 2, Salford City 1. I think Salford, I don't know about Salford this year. They're very up and down form-wise, but I'm going to go 2-1 Tranmere.
Hello guys, it's Elliot here on the Mike Green YouTube channel. I am going to be doing the League 2 predictions today. Last time I was here was during the Swindon away vlog, where I predicted us to get battered like we did against Port Vale if we turned up and played the same, which is exactly what we went and did. Anyway, we'll come to Newport and Swindon later on. We're going to start with the Friday night kickoff, which is Salford and Tranmere, or Tranmere-Salford as Tranmere are the home team. Tranmere come off a 3-0 defeat to Colchester away at the weekend, whereas Salford also come off a defeat at home 2-1 to Walsall. So both sides looking for a better result here this week. It's a tough one to call really, because both teams haven't had the greatest start to the season. But if I'm going to call one of them, I'm going to give Salford the win in a 2-1 victory. It's going to be very tight, but I just think Salford have that bit better quality in their team.
One then of Saturday, and game 1 of the 12:30 kickoff sees Harrogate Town take on Bradford City. Harrogate lost last week 3-0 to Crewe Alexandra, where Bradford City drew 0-0 with AFC Wimbledon. Bradford currently sitting in 8th, only 2 points off the playoffs, whilst Harrogate Town are sitting in 20th, 4 points above the relegation drop zone in League 2. Bradford, again, I do think they're going to start to, rekindle a bit of form. Their last 4, only 1 win out of their last 4, despite starting really well in the first 3. I'm going to go with a Bradford City win. Now, I know Harrogate got a good result against Doncaster 2 weeks ago, but I'm going to go Harrogate 0, Bradford City 2.
Next up is Harrogate and Bradford City. So let's have a look at last week's result. Harrogate come off, and also just like Tranmere, come off a 3-0 away defeat to Crewe Alexandra, whereas Bradford drew 0-0 with Wimbledon. So you look at that, you think that Bradford are probably the favourites to go into this game, and just based on that, you probably would as well. You would think Bradford will win this game. I think Bradford will beat Harrogate, and it'll be quite convincing, and I think they'll win 2-0, because I just don't think Harrogate are that good this season. They've had a few decent games, but I don't think they've got anything in the tank for it anymore, to be honest. I think they could potentially go down if they keep their form going. But yeah, I think Bradford will win this 2-0.
Second 12:30 kickoff sees Walsall host Colchester United at the Bestcott Stadium. Walsall, as we mentioned, beat Salford City 2-0 last week. Colchester United got a very nice 3-0 win at home to Tranmere Rovers. Now, Walsall currently sit 3rd in League 2. They've played very well. Still have not drawn a game yet. 7 wins and 2 defeats this season for Walsall, whilst Colchester United I did say they are a dark horse. They're up to 11th in the league now, 4 points off the playoffs. I really like Colchester. I think they could be a bit of a dark horse, but I'm going to stick with the home win. I'm going to go Walsall 1, Colchester United 0.
Walsall Colchester is a game that I've already pretty much pre-limbed to, with both of the teams playing the first two teams in the predictions this week. Both coming off wins, Colchester 3-0, Walsall 2-0. It was a good result for Colchester, considering that last season they didn't have the greatest start. And they haven't really had the best start to this season, I don't think. But saying that, I think Tranmere have been very, very bad, and Colchester winning 3-0 isn't exactly, not impressive, but it's not exactly the be-all and end-all for them. I think Walsall just have a little bit too much more quality for Colchester, and I think Walsall will get the win in a very tight game, but I think it'll be 1-0 to Walsall, sorry.
Next up then is AFC Wimbledon against Accrington Stanley. Now, I'm not too sure if this game is going to go ahead. At the time of recording here on Tuesday, their game against Newcastle United has been postponed due to horrific scenes at Plough Lane. So if the game gets postponed, then obviously this will be null and void anyway. It won't matter, but I am going to predict it anyway. AFC Wimbledon last week drew 0-0 at Valley Parade, a very good result there away from home against Bradford, whilst Accrington Stanley were 2-0 up at home to Port Vale, and 2 goals from Antoine Hackford and Jaden Stockley got the draw for Port Vale in that one. Accrington Stanley then are 23rd in the league, still looking for their first win, 3 points clear of safety already, whilst AFC Wimbledon sit in 5th place on 13 points, 2 points off the automatics and 3 points off top of the table. If the game is to go ahead, I think the AFC Wimbledon will 100% be too strong for Accrington Stanley, and I'm going to go AFC Wimbledon 3, Accrington Stanley 1. I'll give them a goal, probably be Sean Wally, 3-1 AFC.
Wimbledon and Accrington Stanley, as Mike may have already alluded to, could have the potential to be postponed, considering that Wimbledon and Newcastle match got postponed earlier on in the week. But we're going to deal with the prediction. Wimbledon come off, if I can find them. Wimbledon come off the 0-0 with Bradford, where they come off the 0 with Bradford, whereas Accrington also come off a draw with Port Vale being 2-2. It's a good result for Accrington, considering they haven't had the best start to the season. They drew with an in-form side, which are Port Vale. I think it's just a game that kind of has a draw all over it, to be honest. Both teams drew in the last game. Both haven't had the greatest start to the season, in terms of their league form anyway. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw in this game.
Up then is a very surprising bottom of the table clash between Bromley and MK Dons. Bromley currently sitting in 18th, whilst MK Dons sitting in 19th. An identical results record, 2 wins, 1 draw and 4 defeats for both teams. Bromley are in awful form. Bromley, absolutely, like I said, in dreadful form. They haven't won since the second game of the season, whilst MK Dons, a bit of better form than they started the season. Last week then, Bromley lost 1-0 away from home to Grimsby, whilst MK Dons drew 1-1 with a very good Doncaster side. Obviously, without Mike Williamson at the helm, will Dean Lewington be in charge for this weekend's fixture? I'm not too sure. But score prediction, I'm going to go Bromley. I'm going to go Bromley 1, MK Dons 0. I think the boys from Bromley will get the job done and beat MK Dons. And will this be the first game of the new manager? Who knows? 1-0 Bromley.
Bromley versus MK Dons. Now, Bromley, as much as they are the fairy tale of the league this season, I just think the wheels are starting to come off a little bit. They were 2-0 up against Notts and they lost last week. And then on the weekend, they lost to 10-man Grimsby. So, yeah, I'm obviously, to be fair, that 10-man was in the last 5 minutes. But I just think the fairy tale of Bromley is starting to dwindle, and they're starting to slip back into what we all thought they'd be, which is relegation level. And yeah, I just don't think that they're going to be able to do much against MK Dons, who, while they haven't had the greatest start, they still are a better side than I think Bromley are. I think Dons will play out a statement here, and they'll win 3-0.
Talking of MK Dons and Mike Williamson, the next game is the new team for Mike Williamson, Carlisle United, as they take on Grimsby Town. Now, Carlisle last week beat Swindon, didn't they? The first game of the Mike Williamson era. Swindon 0, Carlisle United 2. Very promising signs from Mike Williamson and his team, whilst Grimsby, their visitors for this fixture, beat Bromley 1-0. In terms of the table, Carlisle now out of the relegation zone by 3 points, currently sitting in 22nd in League 2, whilst Grimsby Town are pushing up the league. They're in 13th. Still haven't drawn a game yet this season, but, you know, 2 defeats out of their last 3. Obviously, they won last week. I'm going to go with a victory for the home side. I think Mike Williamson is a very good coach, and I think Carlisle fans are happy with the appointment of Mike Williamson. I'm going to go Carlisle United 1, Grimsby Town 0.
So, Carlisle versus Grimsby, both teams again coming off a win. Carlisle winning 2-0 against Swindon, Grimsby winning 1-0 against Bromley. The Carlisle game the Carlisle game against Swindon was interesting, considering we all watched Swindon batter us 4-0 the weekend before. However, I just think that Grimsby aren't that good. They're going to be without a player this game out. Carlisle, I'm not really too confident about either of the teams here. To be honest, I'm just going to go with a 0-0. I just don't think either team's quality is going to show through in this game. I just think, you know, both teams, there's not exactly a long trip for either of them, but I just don't think either of them are really going to want to go for the game. I just think they're both going to kind of sit back and just not play for a draw, but I just don't think there'll be much in it, to be honest.
Next up is Cheltenham Town taking on Fleetwood. Now, Fleetwood Town were in cruise control, I thought, against Morecambe. 2-0 up at home at Highbury, and Morecambe, with goals from Jan Songo and Hallam Hope, rescued a big point for Morecambe on yesterday at the time of recording, for Morecambe to get a point away from home, whilst Cheltenham Town are trying to get back to a bit of form. They got a very good 1-1 draw away from home at Chesterfield, with Jude Boyd getting the goal to nick a point for Cheltenham. But I just look at the table. Obviously, Fleetwood currently sitting in 12th, Cheltenham in 17th. I think there is going to be too much for Cheltenham to beat Fleetwood. It is at home, so there's a chance, but I'm going to go Cheltenham 0, Fleetwood Town 1.
The match week is Cheltenham versus Fleetwood. Cheltenham come off the 1-1 draw with Chesterfield, which is a good result for them. Fleetwood come off a 2-2 draw with Morecambe, which isn't a good result for them, considering Morecambe's form at the start of the season. I just think Cheltenham have a little too much quality compared to Fleetwood anyway. I just don't think Fleetwood are that impressive. I just think Cheltenham will have that little too much firepower. They've got some quality dotted around the squad that I don't think Fleetwood have. So yeah, to end the predictions video, I'm going to go for a Cheltenham 2-0 win.
And then sees 6th place Doncaster take on 10th place Chesterfield. Chesterfield, as we just mentioned, got a 1-1 draw at home to Cheltenham last week, where Doncaster Rovers got a 1-1 draw away at MK Dons. Red cards in that one. 80th minute or 82nd minute equaliser from Tom Anderson for Doncaster Rovers to nick a point. And Doncaster have played well this season. Only the 2 defeats, one of them coming against Newport, the other one coming against Harrogate. And they are a very good team, a very strong team are Doncaster Rovers, taking on a Chesterfield team. 2 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats. Not bad considering, you know, it's their first season back in the Football League for a bit of a while. I'm going to go for a Desmond. I'm going to go Doncaster Rovers 2, Chesterfield 2.
Doncaster and Chesterfield is another really interesting game. Both 2 quality sides who could be pushing up there toward the end of the season, but both also coming off 1-1 draws. Chesterfield against Cheltenham and Doncaster against MK Dons, which both teams had a red card. So Doncaster are without Harry Clifton in this game, who is one of their more important players. So we'll just see how it goes. I think if I'm going to predict it, I'm going to go with Chesterfield to win. I think Will Grigg will score 2 in a 2-1 victory for Chesterfield. It'll be a very tight game though.
That then is the game we're all waiting for. It is first taking on second in League 2 as Gillingham host Barrow. Now, Gillingham, as we know, are a very good side, and they got a very, very good 1-0 victory, over Notts County last week. Elliot Nevitt scoring that goal for the Gills to beat Notts County, whilst Newport County weren't the victors against Barrow, as they got a 2-0 win. Elliot Newby and Theo Vassell scoring the goals in that one. As I said, Barrow sit first, Gillingham sit second. It's going to be a very interesting game, two different styles of football, but I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Gillingham 1, Barrow 1.
Gillingham, Barrow, another two teams who are coming off a victory. Obviously, Barrow beating County 2-0 and Gillingham beating Notts County 1-0, which is a good result for them, considering Notts are one of the favourites. I've been impressed with Barrow this season so far. That's the reason why they're top of the league. County weren't very good against them on Saturday. I think it's got the potential to go either way. It could be either one of the three results. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw, I think. I think both teams will just cancel each other out for most of the game. I think Jody Jones will provide an element of quality for Notts, and I just think Barrow is just going to continue their good form, or their good performances, and will be able to stop Notts getting too much ahead, but Notts also have too much quality that can also stop Barrow. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
So, for probably the first time this season, it is Morecambe taking on Notts County, but for the first time in this season, Morecambe have got a better last result than their opponent. Obviously, they drew 2-2 away at Fleetwood, whilst Notts County lost 1-0 at home to Gillingham. So Morecambe, can they take a bit of fight from that game against Fleetwood and take it into this game against Notts County? I don't think so. I think Notts County are going to bounce back in sublime style. They sit fourth in the league, a point off Walsall, 2 points off Barrow, whilst Morecambe still rooted to the bottom of the table on 2 points, 4 points from safety. I'm going to go with a very high scoreline. I'm going to go Morecambe 0, Notts County 4.
Now, Morecambe and Notts County seems like a game that is going to be very cut and dry, considering that Notts County won the best attacks in the league, Morecambe won the worst defences in the league. Only got 2 points from 2 draws. But they have started to score more goals now, Morecambe. They've started to get more goals. But I don't think they'll be able to do anything against this Notts County team. This Notts County team are too strong with their defenders and their attacking play in their midfield. I just think Notts are going to just teach them a footballing lesson and win 3-1. I think they'll get a goal, but I think that they'll concede some easy goals, and I just think it'll be a 3-1 win for Notts County.
Next up is the penultimate game, and it is at Rodney Parade as Newport County take on Crewe Alexandra. Now, Newport sitting in 14th, whilst Crewe sitting in 7th in League 2. 4 wins on the bounce for Crewe have pushed them into the playoffs. Obviously, they did beat Harrogate 3-0 last week. 2 goals from Kane Hemmings and Jack Lancaster. But we, obviously, as you know, lost 2-0 away from home against Barrow. We need to bounce back. You know, Nelson Jardim needs to get these players riled up for this one now. We have to bounce back against a very good and very informed Crewe Alexandra side. Another defeat will pile even more pressure onto the players, onto the manager, and also onto the board of directors, or Hugh Jenkins, I should say. But it's going to be interesting. I'm going to back us. I'm going to back us at home. I think if this was away, we probably would struggle massively. But I'm going to go Newport 1, Crewe Alexandra 0. I just think that when teams are playing well and they come to Rodney Parade, they do tend to struggle a bit. So I'm going to go Newport 1, Crewe Alexandra 0.
And here we are, Newport County versus Crewe Alexandra. I don't really know what to predict in this. I never want to predict my team to lose. But with the way we're playing recently, it just seems inevitable, because especially considering that Crewe have battered Harrogate 3-0. Obviously, the return of Mickey Dimitriou again as well, captain of Crewe this time, whereas last season he wasn't. I don't want to predict County to lose. I never want to do that. But I cannot predict a win. There's no way I can predict a win with the way we're currently playing. The most I can predict is a 2-2 draw. I probably think it's going to be a 3-0 defeat, but I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw just so I don't have to predict County losing a game.
The last game then sees Port Vale take on Swindon. I hate both of these teams right now because both of them absolutely thumped us in the last few weeks. Port Vale, of course, as we mentioned, got that 2-2 draw away from home against Accrington Stanley. A 90th minute and 95th minute goal for Port Vale nicked a point on the road at the Wham Stadium, while Swindon lost 2-0 to the new manager Bounce of Carlisle United under Mike Williamson. Port Vale then currently sit in 9th in League 2, whilst Swindon sit in 21st. Only win of the season being against us, by the way, which makes it even more annoying. But I'm going to go with a comfortable home victory. I'm going to go Port Vale 2, Swindon 0. I'll stand by this. Swindon aren't very good.
Port Vale and Swindon Town, the two teams that have started counting on this downward trajectory, with Port Vale winning 4-1 and Swindon winning 4-0. Swindon obviously losing at the weekend to Carlisle, and Port Vale drawing with Accrington Stanley. I was more impressed when Port Vale played us than Swindon. Port Vale actually moved the ball quite nicely and were a threat in both halves, whereas Swindon were just a threat in the first half and they just got some crosses in. So I think Port Vale will win this game, and I think it'll be quite a comfortable win for them. I think it'll be a 2-0 win for Port Vale in this game.
Those are my Game Week 7 predictions for Sky Bet League 2. Massive shout out to Elliot for getting his predictions on. As always, really do appreciate you guys jumping on as the guests. It does really help me and obviously get someone else's prediction to give it a bit of variety in the video. Please make sure if you have enjoyed this video, go smash it a like, go subscribe, and go turn those notification bell notifiers on so you know exactly when I upload a video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Thanks for watching.